I genuinely have no idea how well this is going to work, but we're going to give it a try. I'm going to show you how to do the first step in the preparing cups and grills with a hot soldering iron. I've got it running about 375. I'm going to be inserting a bunch of these Voron heat inserts into both the housings, the cups, as well as the static adjustment arms, just while the soldering iron happens to be hot, before I move on to wiring all of the other pieces. So we start by taking our hot soldering iron, just getting it as clean as possible, preferably without plastic in the way of it. And then we're going to go through and pick up these Voron inserts on the soldering iron. The soldering iron is heating up that metal ring, which then means it should insert reasonably well into plastic while it's still hot. And we're going to try to get these flush. If they don't get flush, they can cause a problem with the gasket. So we very gently press. You don't want to push too hard, don't want to push too gently. Get them, see, roughly flat. If they're a little bit off, it's not a huge deal, but the straighter in they can go, the better. We're not really necessarily aiming for perfection. I'm not going to build the drill press for it, but we do want to get about as flat as possible. It will mean the screws will go in easier when the rest of the piece is being assembled. So there are 5 of these heat inserts in each housing in the middle that we care about. I'm going to go ahead and get those in. And then on the outside there are going to be 2 additional ones. These are going to be where the yokes will attach. The current generation of the Ouroboros uses a screw-on yoke, as opposed to the old version, which used just spikes that sort of pressure fit in. The screw-in version is much preferable in my mind and much more stable. So on the front of the Ouroboros cup, there's one for the front piece of the yoke. On the back, there are 2 holes. One is a tuning port and one is a insert for the yoke. We're going to put the insert into the one that is in the middle of the cup. Let me double check that just to make sure. Yeah, so it's on the back of the headphone. It's the one that's closest to the center. It's this piece, not close to the edge. A prior iteration of the Ouroboros had you putting one of these inserts into the tuning port. You don't for the 3.5mm version or for the Golem version. So you want to be, again, very careful. Unsurprisingly, the brass gets very, very warm. If you brush it with your hand, you're going to have a real bad day. But so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the left cup. We move on to the right cup. We're doing the same thing. I always start with the interior of the cup, just because my hands aren't going to be anywhere near the inside when I'm doing the outside. If I do the outside ones first, it's way too easy to brush a finger against one of the exterior inserts while it's still unpleasantly warm. As a person who doesn't have a lot of heat sensation in his hands, due to spending too much time in commercial kitchens, I try to keep my hands away from hot materials as much as humanly possible. So getting these nice and flush. You are always trying to press them with the wider part towards the exterior. You want the wider part of these Voron inserts. They're wide on one end and thin on the other. You want the thin end in. Go ahead and get that inserted. So that's the 5 on the inside, the 5 inserts. And now we're going to do the outside. Again, we're going to do the front of the cup. On this one, we can do a little bit of a trick that Brian shows, which is to get it hot and then press it partial way in and then press against a flat surface that doesn't care about heat, like a silicon mat. And then I'm going to very carefully rotate this and get one last one in this middle port. Very carefully get it in, and that is the cups done. While the soldering iron is hot and while I'm already doing some inserts, I'm going to grab the static adjustment arms and I'm going to go ahead and insert one of these in here now. So you get them hot, and then press them against a flat surface, and you end up with a pretty good flat insert. Get it hot, presses against a flat surface, get it relatively flat, and press it in. So those are all of our Voron inserts. If you were doing the folding attachment arms, there's a pivot block you'd be inserting a bunch in. That one, if you do it, just be careful. It's really easy because you're putting Voron inserts on 3 sides of an object. Really easy to inadvertently burn yourself, so just be careful. So that's that piece.